Hi everyone, this is Killshot 99 Gaming. This is the Walking Dead movie Rick Grimes plot update. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about. If you guys follow us all week long, we had some random things. We got Fear the Walking Dead. But this is one of our most engaging, most fun streams that we do. We're going to funnel some stuff down tonight. It's going to be a combination of ideas, your thoughts, your participation, articles that are out there, a little bit of everything, but there's going to be a little bit of hunch factor in there too. So before we get started, let me take a moment because I know that we've been skipping over some of the shout outs, and I don't like to do too many streams without doing shout outs because, as you guys know, I've just got this great respect and admiration for all the Patreons, for all of my green team, the channel members, the mods, everybody that just worked so hard to build this channel up. So let me start by thanking all the Patreons for everything that they do. Absolutely amazing group. They partner with me. They participate polls, surveys, all of the above. Channel members, and of course super chatters right there. Valar in the house, Hello 999, Army, Kill Steph, Emmy Kell, Sweet Tommy, sponsors, Patreons, channel members, and all the super chatters. And all of you that watch. I mean, the Army is a complete group of people, so thank you for everything that you guys do. We're going to talk about a lot of good stuff tonight, and I'm still kind of recovering a little bit because we had a lot of fun last night with the random things. There were some topics all over the place, some good challenges. If you guys don't know what that's all about, join us on Tuesday nights because we certainly have some fun with it. But we've not gotten into the Rick Grimes movie in a while. I'm going to try to call on many of you, but look, we may jump around a little bit, but then we're going to pick one topic and just sort of filter it down a little bit. So a couple articles that I've read lately really has a concept that it's the Commonwealth somehow involved. And I'll just throw it out there for you guys. I know it's a guess at this point because we don't know, and some are more passionate about it than others. What do you feel? You feel it's the Commonwealth, or you think it's just a brand new group that's floating around out there? Tom Ferreira, did you do the naming of each season of The Walking Dead? I did not, Tom. But I haven't seen you in a little while. But that definitely sounds like something we want to do on maybe a Freestyle Friday, Tom. We can go back and sort of group it together and come up with our own name, our own description of that. Walking Dead Nerd said, I feel it's the Commonwealth. The suits give it away. Tyler says, not a chance. Alicio, Fear and Rick movies heavily connected. We're going to talk about a few of the hints that are out there as well. Certainly. Thank you, Coco. Pike that like button, everybody. If you guys are here, hit that like button. I don't know who said it a little bit ago. It might have been Catface, but I don't get a chance to go through a lot of comments pre-stream, but every once in a while something will just pop up on my screen, and it's a big deal to me. And Catface, if it was you, I'm not trying to embarrass you. It's a compliment. But it was someone a little bit earlier said, I'm glad I found a stream with good people to participate in. When I see you guys, first of all, when I see you guys every night, it is awesome to see this group of people. And I'm seeing a few people tonight that have not been watching Fear. I get it. I know not everybody's, fully engaged and attached to Fear. But when we do Walking Dead topics, I get a lot of people that have not shown up in a little while that do come back. But one, it is just a testament to all the people that show up. How you interact with each other is amazing too. And the fact that the moderators work so hard to get the best possible group of people here. And that's important to me as well, that we got people that are respectful and get their thoughts out there, and they're not, fighting with each other all the time, that, we can respectfully disagree from time to time. So, and that's why I want to start with the Commonwealth, because I know, we're a little bit, there's going to be some agreement with that. No, I don't have a cold. Do I sound different to anybody? Do I sound nasally or like I have a cold or congested or anything? I feel like I sound normal. I mean, I feel normal. We'll see. We'll see if people think I'm good. Is it Fluff's device? Okay. Roxanne said I sound the same. Okay, I'm good, though. I'm good, Fluff. Kimberly's like, kills normal? Nah, not define. Okay, I get it. Not normal. Normal sound. Okay, anyway, a few more topics, though. So this one article was, I think it was Fansided. I know the people from Fansided or other channels could watch here and they could critique me all day long. So I don't like to be overly critical of journalists and people I know are working hard. But there was this article today from Fansided, and I swear the dude said the word Commonwealth at least 50 times. I couldn't even read it. It was like, well, Rick was possibly taken by the Commonwealth, but I'm pretty sure it's the Commonwealth. And it was just over and over and over again. It was a very tough read, and I was just trying to kind of get to the core of it and get to his thoughts, because the thoughts weren't that bad, but it was just hard to drill down because, I don't know, maybe he was just looking for like a Google search rank or something where he said the same word over and over again, and he was trying to get his article rated high. Maybe it worked because it showed up and I read it. It could have been the purpose. Got a couple super chats here. I ran out of Anastasia asking for Rick. The nurses said, LOL. So come on, Mr. Grimes. We need you back. Hello, Army. June, I feel like I can out of anesthesia. I feel like, June, you might still be on anesthesia. Maybe. But, hey, you know what? June, we'll take a high June any day. We're good. E-Beach. I've seen others who are predicting a John death. Well, could happen. Either way, I win. I'm okay with it. June, John, you name it, I'll take it. So I was thinking a little bit that, it's clear that Michonne's leaving, and I'm going to be just shocked. It's not a done deal. It's not been confirmed that Denai is going to be in the movies. But I would, if I asked a question to this group, how many people in this group think there's a chance that Michonne dies this season? Will the Bill, hey, my brothers and sisters, kills. I had to pop in. I can't stay. Will the Bill, you're always welcome here. And thank you for that introduction. Appreciate that. So, notice how I asked the question. And check this out. Look at all the comments. Oh, no, not me. Well, not going to happen. Hope not. No way at all, says Chris. Don't think so. No. Capital letters. But see, here's the thing. She could. I mean, she could. We don't know at this point. There's no confirmation. There's no spoiler. So everything that you guys just typed is 100%, the people that said no, she can't, is 100% based on what you want to happen, what you think will happen, and what you hope will happen. All three of those. But there's no, I get it, Walking Dead nerd, possibly in a movie, but we don't even have confirmation that she's going to be in the movie yet. And now, see, I like what Lynn just said there. Anything is possible. Now, do I think it's a good move? Do I personally think that they're going to kill her? No, I don't. I really don't. I'm like many of you. However, is it outside of the scope of possibility? No. It's very possible that they could kill her. Because she's not even going to be in a movie, if she is in a movie, for how many years? Is it safe to say we won't see Michonne in a movie for 3 years? Hang on. Let's let that sink in for a second. Not going to happen, Julia. No way. 0 chance that Michonne is in a movie in 2020. They haven't even filmed the first Rick movie, which is 7 years prior. So the first movie would have to be a 7-year movie. Walking Dead nerd. If they showed Michonne in the first movie, we'd have to have a 7-year history in the first movie. I don't think there's any chance that happens. How many movies do you watch where they go through 7 years that quick? We can't. So I would say at the earliest they could get her in would be the second movie. And I still think that's a little bit of a stretch. So the Marvelous one is like, okay, hold on. Now I'm confused. Because time skips are confusing. I'm going to funnel it down a little bit. So I'm not saying it would be a good idea to kill Michonne. What I'm saying is, she is leaving this season, and we're not going to see her again for 3 years on the screen. Unless they were to bring her back to The Walking Dead, which doesn't seem likely. D-Train says end of the second movie. Maybe. Or the third movie. Maybe it's the big reunion with Rick. But the first movie has to be about Rick in the helicopter, Rick with that group of people. Would you agree? Would you agree it doesn't make sense to have Rick and Michonne in the first movie 7 years and we don't know what the hell happened in the last 7 years with Rick? So we got to get some backstory. Tom Bug Ferreira says 2 years per movie. And that's what I'm calculating, 2 years per movie, which should put you 3 years at a minimum. All right. So I'm going to walk through with the Rick Grimes movie and why there is a chance that Michonne could die. Because of the lapse of time. Because of the desensitized toward Michonne's leaving. But also, let me tell you this. Then Michonne's exit this season needs to be a much bigger, more hyped up, more talked about exit. I'm a little disappointed that at the point where people knew Rick was leaving, it was a big deal. And I'm not saying Michonne's character is quite as big as Rick, but I am a little disappointed that we're just taking for granted that she's going to be in a movie and we're not properly appreciating the 4, 5, 6 episodes she's going to be in yet. Now, I think that'll change a little bit, but I don't think the general public, the fans, have really gotten the gist of it or gotten a grasp of it that she's going to be gone for at least 3 years. She will be gone from the screen longer than Rick will be gone from the screen if she does make it back to the big screen. So she's either gone forever or it'll be the second movie before we see her. Red Rider, listening while at work, but love this group. Thank you so much, Red Rider. Appreciate that. Appreciate that super chat. Gina, I agree. It would be very heartbreaking. So here's the thing that I don't want you to do. Number one, don't take her living for granted. Number one, just don't assume it's a done deal. Number two, I think we need a little bit more hype around Michonne's exit. Kind of like we did with Rick. It needs to be a big deal. Number three, if she does exit and stay alive, which I do think there's a stronger chance that's going to happen rather than die. I'm not advocating her death. I'm just saying it's a possibility. If she does leave and it's open-ended, we definitely know she's coming back to the movie. However, we still ain't going to see her for 3 years. So we're still going to miss her. And I think the reason it's smart, as many of you said, is because a reunion with Rick and Michonne would be a big, big deal for the movie. We don't know how the first Rick Grimes movie is going to do, but I do think that a reunion with Michonne would definitely amp it up a little bit more. Princess Pie, hello Army, a super chat for and from our Mitch Pudding. She says hello and loved everyone and be back soon when she feels better. Do me a favor, Green Team. Can we get some pudding pops up on the screen? Just real quick, and thank you for that super chat, Princess Pie. Appreciate that. A little bit of love for our super fan of the month. She's got 11 more days, and then we pick a brand new super fan. So Julia says, I predict the movie will do well. I think the movie will do well too. I don't think the movie will do great. What? What would you say, Kills? You're a Walking Dead fanboy. You can't. Because I don't. The Walking Dead fans are going to love it. But we got a long way to go to get a whole lot of other fans that are not Walking Dead fans to appreciate a Rick Grimes movie. Okay. I didn't want to do this, but you guys are forcing my hand. June Smith, are you still here? Chris Rainick, I agree. I agree a Rick Grimes movie would be awesome. But before I get into this, I need to find out where June Smith is. This is important. All right. I don't know. I don't know where June went. The only thing I'm going to ask, June Smith, I need you to tape down anything sharp before I start talking about this, all right? So I saw a message earlier when we were on the screen that Mark Wahlberg's going to be $6 million man. Is that confirmed? You guys seen that? Well, Wilson, I think it's got to be a TV movie. I'm going to talk about some things that they might not be super popular to people that aren't Walking Dead fans. So what does the $6 million man have going for him? I know it's a random question. This is not random things. But when you think about the $6 million man, what do you think about? He's bionic, right? Okay, fair enough. That's all I'm looking for. All right. John Dory. When you think of John Dory, is there a signature moment that you can think of about John Dory? What's his attribute? What can John Dory do that very few people on The Walking Dead can do? He can shoot. He's a sharpshooter. He can do the San Antonio split. And he can play Scrabble. He's a gunslinger. He'd be a hell of a thing in a movie, right? All right. Daryl Dixon. When you think of Daryl, what's Daryl's kind of calling? What's Daryl's claim to fame? Dirt. I love it. He's a tracker. He's a hunter. He's got a bow. All right. Okay, I know this is going to be biased. I know it's going to be partial, and we think about a Rick movie. What is Rick Grimes good at? I mean, he can't ride a horse because he fell off a horse. He can't shoot. He's an amazing human, says Julia. Leadership. He's a leader. Leading people. Okay. All right. So almost everybody here said he's a leader. Great answer. Great answer. So, and speeches too. Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? Coral, you go with me, Sean. So, then is it also a fair assessment to say we like Rick partially because of all the people that were on the show with Rick, of all the people he led, of all the people that partnered with him, that a lot of those people helped make Rick Grimes? Would that be a fair thing to say? But he's not with any of those people. And his strength, in a lot of cases, was keeping Carl alive, and Carl's dead. So, I'm going to go back to a couple statements that were made a little bit earlier with the Rick Grimes movie. There's a lot of people out there, because Rick doesn't have any skill that you're going to want to tune in and watch, they aren't going to care about the movie. The Walking Dead fans are going to go crazy. We're going to love it. We're going to dress like Rick. We're going to, want all the news. We're going to follow him around. We're going to do all of those things. But I got sad news. There aren't a lot of attributes that Rick Grimes has that are going to make a lot of strangers watch the show unless he goes through this complete makeover. We are. We're a very big fan base, Julia, and I know this because I've seen the fan base grow. He's a leader and a tough guy. All right, Logan. How many times has Daryl kicked Rick's ass? How many times has Shane? I don't know. I would classify Rick as a tough guy. In fact, when's the last time Rick won a fight? So Daryl beat him up. Shane beat him up. Merle could probably beat him up. Negan beat him up. I'm trying to think of one time that Rick actually won a fight. The third grade. And Jesus beat him up. Okay, so we're endeared to Rick. So E Beach. So Kills, will the movies appeal to new viewers? No. Not if it is just the history of Rick Grimes. It will not. But I think the writers know this. And I don't think the writers are doing movies just to get people to tune in to Rick Grimes. So I'm going to go back. We're funneling this. Don't give up. Don't give up on it yet. So there's got to be some... Okay. Let me ask this question. We got Will the Bill. You don't have to win to be tough. Total opposite kills. It's never giving up. Don't disagree with that at all, Will. Actually, I do agree with you. But if you are not a Walking Dead fan, and let's say it's not on TV, let's say this is at the big screen, are you going to go see a movie about a man who was taken, who can't shoot, who can't fight, is a good leader? I don't know it screams out, new audience, come and watch my movie. Now, some of you are going to say yes, because you're Walking Dead fans. There's an element, exactly, June, there's an element of bias. And because you are a fan, it's kind of hard to answer as if you're not a fan. I'm not trying to discourage you and say the movie's going to be a flop. I don't think so. I think there's 9-10 million people that are certainly going to support a movie, whether they do a few sneak peeks in a theater or they show it on AMC. And I do think that there'll be people that watch Black Summer and other zombie flicks and other things that are out there, and they will tune in, but not Game of Thrones type. You know what I'm saying? Not like in the masses. However, I'm not done. What if you had a Rick Grimes? And what if you had a John Dory? And what if you had a Daryl Dixon? All in the movie. And you got a guy who can shoot a bow. And you got a guy who's a gunslinger. And you got a guy that gives speeches. And it's not just about Rick Grimes. Because, see, we're making this the Rick Grimes movie. So, it might not even be the Rick Grimes movie at all, is my point. So now, see, you're getting to my point. Robin saying, that would be awesome. Wait a minute, that would be better. Sounds like a new show. That would be awesome. I think we're looking at this Walking Dead movie from the wrong lens. I think we're looking at it as if it's just going to be the story and the evolution and the final spin-off of Rick Grimes. And in fairness, a good portion of it may be. But if that's the direction that the movie goes, it's only going to maintain its core audience, and it might not even maintain all of its core audience. But if they add elements to it, as if it is a Walking Dead movie, and Walking Dead nerd, I'm not even necessarily saying that it has to be characters from The Walking Dead. But it does need to be characters that you can easily adapt to, that you don't have to wait a whole season to get close to them. The plot has to be developed. It can't be an hour worth of just what happened to Rick. You need to have an identified villain pretty quickly. Maybe Heath is taking a step forward, and Heath can be a little bit tougher and a little bit more to the point. And a few other characters where it's not just, if you want to develop a new audience and a new following, they're going to have to find, you can't realistically make Rick into a sharpshooter unless, all the trauma he went through. Notice I started with the $6 million man. I'm not saying they're going to surgically enhance. That didn't sound right at all, did it? I'm doing this live. That's me rewinding the tape. I'm not saying that is there a way to say it? I'm not saying they'll be able to improve his skill set. There you go. Through surgery. However, if Rick has if he has access to more resources, would it not stand to reason that he could become better skilled? So, we've given Rick a hard time. Okay, what in the comic and early on in the TV show, what was Andrea's claim to fame? What was Andrea's ability? She's a sharpshooter. In the comic book, what did Andrea do with her sharpshooting abilities? Not only was she a sharpshooter, multiple times in the comic, you guys got it, she taught people. She'd pull people to the side and they had these bullets, and she'd teach them how to shoot. She was training. Rosita took on that role in the TV show. Remember Rosita and Eugene doing a little bit of training, teaching people how to fight and prepare? So, the one thing you never saw, we never saw Rick out there practicing a whole lot. I mean, he was a sheriff. He could shoot if he had to, but shooting from a distance was not his skill set. However, do you guys feel confident? We're going to funnel this down. That if Rick Grimes had the right training, the right resources, the right environment, he could learn to be a really good shot. Okay. There's part of your storyline. Is not only for me is it important. So we watched this show for 9 years with Rick on it. And people are saying, of course. And we kind of mocked Rick for always missing. And he couldn't shoot anything. But at the same time, we never really saw him out there practicing because he had a different agenda. Why did he have a different agenda? Because of his skill set. Because there's one thing Rick Grimes does better than anybody else. Got June Smith with Super Chat. The movie would be a big hit because he's Rick. I and many fans am looking forward to seeing him grace the tube again. He will come through as he always did. It's a bold prediction. He leads. Okay. Bear with me. Some people are probably trying to figure out where I'm going with this. It's like a lawyer. I got to get you to where I need you. Okay. So the burden of leadership was so great on Rick Grimes that he didn't have time to practice fighting. Jesus and Aaron had time to practice fighting. Rick didn't because he had too many decisions to make. Rosita, Andrea, a lot of other people had time to learn to shoot. Rick didn't because he was too busy leading, coming up with a plan to try to save all these people. Am I the only one here thinking that Rick might not be in charge in the brand new movie? Doesn't appear as if Rick is going to be given the golden scepter and be allowed to sit on the throne when he's picked up by a whole bunch of people with a whole lot of resources. He ain't leading. So, is it fair to assess that because Rick is not the leader, because there's a whole lot of more powerful people, that Rick will have time to become a different character, a more refined character, a better fighter, a better shooter, a better action figure that's made for movies, not a person who's a family man or a person who is crying and has the snot bubbles and Carl, don't kill my son, that type of stuff. Is it fair to say that they can improve Rick by taking him off the show and make him into a stronger, more formidable fighter? Not necessarily the Rick Grimes that we're used to seeing on the TV show. Is that a fair assessment? Najee Watts, you think each movie will continue to cross over each TV season and leave Easter eggs, or will the movie stand alone after the the movies will stand alone, Najee. I think once they get that first movie under our belt, that if they do it right, they can attract a bigger audience. Okay, and I said this would be sensitive when we started. Rick Grimes, to me, the last season and a half got a little sappy, a little soft, and a little boring. I just said that. I said it in a Walking Dead stream. I said it around a whole bunch of Rick Grimes fans. He seemed weak. You don't have to agree. We can all have our own opinions. It's fair. But I think the Rick Grimes in the movie can get back that balance that they started to lose on the TV show. And that's why I think it was a win. Because I think they can make him stronger, like the $6 million man. They can make him better. And they can take all... I think as a leader, they put too much on his shoulder. He had too much going on. There was too much to figure out. There are too many other characters on the show that needed FaceTime. And it got a little bit inconsistent with what we saw with Rick. See, I liked Rick in season 1. And I liked Rick in season 2. And I like I don't have to take crap from anybody, Rick Grimes, not we live in Alexandria and we got solar power and I got to make the right decision for the entire group. See, I like a Rick Grimes that doesn't have to watch over Carl's shoulder. I like a Rick Grimes that doesn't necessarily have to be in love. That he can just go out and have something to... He can just be like vicious. He can be a beast. Because if we get the Rick that was in season 8, I don't think it's going to be a movie that's going to appeal to a lot of other people. It's going to be a movie that we watch because we love our characters. But sometimes when we love our characters, we got to be honest about the situation that the characters are in and the writing and the role and even what happened with Chandler. Chandler was not his comic comparison. He couldn't be. He was not all of those things. Judith is more Carl than Carl was Carl. And Rick is not Rick. Rick on the TV show was not comic book Rick. But Rick in the movie could be closer to comic book Rick. So, Logan, I'm not going to say it's going to be an Avengers type of movie. But even in Fear the Walking Dead, last week, if you guys watched it, wasn't there kind of a good feeling right there at the end when all of them were kind of around and they were getting ready to, before Alicia got that call from the kids, didn't you kind of feel like, wait a minute, we got Dwight, we got Morgan, we got a group of people. There was like this anticipation of some action, right? Did you guys sense that like right at that moment? That we're getting ready to make a move here. And that's the feeling I used to get with The Walking Dead. And that's a feeling that I could get around with Rick Grimes. You know, I want to see him kind of flown in. I want to see him heal him. I want to see him take care of him. I want to see them give him a life. But I could use a little more renegade Rick Grimes. And to kind of get to the Rick Grimes plot update, and hopefully you guys are seeing the value in this. Do you feel like they're just going to do the movie to tell 3 versions of what happened to Rick, or the movie will be a way to catapult Rick Grimes into beyond legendary status? Now you got a great leader. You've got that strong, tough fighter that we've always known. But you also have somebody that can fight, somebody that can shoot, somebody that needs to be reckoned with. Not somebody that this group's going to work with and train, and then he's going to go out there in the first fight. It's like, we thought we had the Grimes guy trained, but yeah, he got beat up by the first kid. All right, Rick, here, back to training again. Got to get you toughened up a little bit if you're going to have your own movie. That's a silly question, June. Of course I like Rick. I like Rick, but I'm not blinded by the character flaws that they wrote into Rick Grimes. And how they needed to move it in a different direction. See, and June, I think it's just a varying degree of what we're looking for. I'll give you an example. So, June, the picture we have up on the screen, what's the first thing you notice of the picture we have up on the screen? It's a rhetorical question. It's going to be easy, though. Okay. Well, the first thing I noticed by the picture we have up on the screen is the Patreons in the top left-hand corner. And then the second thing that I noticed of the picture up on the screen is in the middle where it says 999 Gaming, 999 Army, 999 Dead. And then the third thing that I noticed is the picture of The Walking Dead. However, this picture of Rick, I'm sure I could have this up every single day, and you would not get bored of looking at this picture. However, if I saw this picture every day, it wouldn't take me long to say I need to see a different picture. So, and there's not one that's right and one that's wrong. It's what your level of, what you're looking for out of the show. And as a fan, there are certain people who are going to be perfectly content to tune into a movie about Rick's backstory. But it's not going to captivate a new audience. It's not going to make people want to go back and watch last season of The Walking Dead to see how Rick got in the helicopter in the first place. That's where I think the story has to be told, and then I think you got to add some elements to it. It's okay, June. But I will tell you, I think you're in the minority with that, because even earlier when I asked the question and said how many people would be more interested in watching a show with a John Dory and a Daryl and a Rick, then a huge majority agree that there needs to be other supporting characters around Rick to make it more intriguing and more exciting and a springboard for future Walking Dead movies. And Lynn Nesvik, I think at this point, Lynn says they should bring Rick back to The Walking Dead. At this point, you also have to understand that Rick is about 7.5 to 8 years older. So that doesn't seem to be the most feasible. I mean, I would safely say, what would you guys put Rick at? 47, 48? So you're going to put him at 55 or 56? I'm not saying 55 or 56 is old, but how many characters on The Walking Dead are mid to late 50s? Let me ask that question. It's a tough call, right? And that kind of goes back to the Walking Dead nerds point. We have to be careful with how many time skips. I mean, I don't think we can time skip Rick to 60, can we? He's going to be Earl. I'm not tuning in for Earl the Blacksmith movie. So I don't think you can bring him. Well, one, I don't think he wants to come back to the show. The show had a 7-year time skip. That's the first problem. Number two is at the age that you're going to put Rick. And then number three, I don't think you can time skip the movies until you're ready to end the movies. He did, Walking Dead nerd, but what happened to him in the comics? You don't have to answer that question. I think we know. And it's funny how there's no Carl in the Walking Dead TV movie universe, but there's Carl in the comic, and then vice versa. So, look, I certainly... No, Julia and June, I wouldn't say you're entirely alone on that argument. I would say you're probably in the extreme. I think all of us have an element of what we think the movie can be and how much Rick Grimes exposure. I think there's some that are probably a little bit more obsessive with it. But there's no doubt that Rick is going to be the star of the show. Will the Bill. Rick is the one who picks and creates the other characters. He did it from season 1, created the people we love to watch. I agree we need a group with Rick, but he's on top. Well, Will, then you got to explain to me and June how Rick, who's bleeding to death, is in someone else's helicopter that they have been capturing, and knows nobody except Jadis, but all of a sudden you get the star, and we have obviously not been able to do a good job, even though we saved you, but we're just going to pass the baton over to you, and you will lead us, Rick Grimes. I don't see it happening. The last time we saw Rick, he couldn't even lead a group of walkers. I mean, I'm sorry. He fell off a horse. So if he can't even lead a group of walkers, how is he going to lead a group of organized military fighters and scientists and people that have been trading bodies? And he's the odd man out, and he's not even healed. We've not even seen him live yet. I don't even want to float the possibility the first Walking Dead movie is going to be Rick dying in the helicopter, and then the other two aren't even going to. No, okay, I won't even. I won't even entertain that. No, I get it. The movies are about Rick's journey, but they don't necessarily have to be about Rick coming in and, you know what? Hey, there's 1,000 of you. There's one of me. I've been beat up many times. I can't shoot anything, but I'm going to give a speech, and you guys are all going to listen to me from now on and follow every word I say. Now, I know, Will, you super chatted that. So help me connect that big-ass dot that you just put up there, because I understand, and I'm not disagreeing with your super chats about Rick's leadership and his ability and all those things, but I just have to, you can't just make a comment like that and not at least give me a path. You're taking Morgan and Dwight's path to Texas. You're taking me to Atlanta, and then you're taking a hard right over to Texas. You got to get me to Texas a little bit faster. Oh, come on, Chris. Don't get the crowd started with that. You plant that seed, and I'll be answering. It'll be like a rant like I did with Maggie for a month. So Heart of Nixie says you start the movie a couple, 3 years later after the helicopter. Then during the movie, you get to hear how we went from that point to the stronger point. He's at the point we start to see him. That's going to have to sink in a little bit. Catface Killer. Charisma makes a good leader. Good, bad. Like Jim. Or Negan. Well, is it fair to say that most of you here, if Rick Grimes was the leader, you would follow him? Is that kind of what I'm sensing? Unwavering, no question in his decision making, just blindly. Rick Grimes says do it, and you're going to follow no matter what. Even if you have your own helicopters, even if you have your own military, you would just blindly follow Rick Grimes. I'm curious. Viola, Kimberly, Dark Star. So how did that work out for Abraham? How did that work out for Glenn? They followed Rick. They got in the RV and followed Rick. A lot of people did die under his watch. All right, we got a super chat here. Will the Bill. Come on, Kills. You know he's going to get to the point of recruiting people and become a leader again. That's what he does. Okay, now finally we got a voice of reason here. So I see Will the Bill and I see Daryl Stoltz. Not at first. Trust and respect have to be earned. Okay, finally. Somebody's willing to take the blinders off and entertain a little bit of the quest, of the challenge. So there's no magic wand that's going to put Rick in charge of all these people. So, Viola, you would only follow Rick based on what you've seen Rick do in the past. Is that a fair assessment? Because you watched 9 seasons of The Walking Dead, so you know Rick's history. But none of these people, who, by the way, just rescued him. He didn't rescue them. They rescued him. So they know nothing about him. See, I think that's an interesting dynamic because I don't think you can necessarily give somebody authority. The first thing you have to do is say, these people that have the helicopter, whether they're Commonwealth or whoever else, all right, so comic fans who are further along, did Rick take over the Commonwealth? All right, this is important because half the people here can't even decide if he took over the Commonwealth, he didn't talk. I mean, these are comic fans, and it's there for you in black and white, but our group here cannot even decide if he took over the Commonwealth. All right? That's a problem. So, first and foremost, if you think this group is the Commonwealth, then you're going to understand that he's just not going to go into the movie and be ordained the leader of this group. But I don't disagree with you that Rick's persuasiveness, his leadership, those things would certainly come out over time. But here, if you don't believe me, here's a small test, okay? I want any of you to walk into Amazon tomorrow, and there's a lot of people that work there, and I want you to say, I'm good at speeches, I'm very persuasive, and now all of you will report directly to me. Then join chat tomorrow night and let me know how that works out. It's not going to work out very well. Secondly, Rick doesn't have to be a leader in order for us to appreciate what he can do. And if he is going to be a leader, there has to be a flaw. There has to be an opportunity. And I think that's what everybody here, what I'm trying to get to, but what a lot of people here are missing, is we have to first identify what the threat is and what the opportunity. Ellis, you'll get my Amazon analogy, because if nothing's broke and it operates fine and you're one of the most valuable companies in the world, you don't need to fix it. So there has to be an underlying story and an opportunity. The first thing they have to do is create an opportunity for Rick to gain leadership if they want him to be a leader. Many of you are assuming he has to be a leader because that's the only way you've ever seen Rick Grimes. So you're attached to his persona. It's either Rick is in charge or I can't accept Rick. And what I'm saying is, if Rick's not in charge, he could develop as a stronger character, just not the person making all the decisions. And if he is ultimately going to become the person that makes the decisions, there's going to have to be an opportunity, and we've not even identified who the person is that captured him, whether they're good or bad. They could be good. And if they're good, he doesn't necessarily need to lead them. William, the people who took him are probably so sheltered they wouldn't know what to do outside the walls, if there are walls. But we don't know that, William. And I think that's kind of the point. And of the things you just typed, the key word you said is probably. I could say this in the opposite tone, William, and say the people that took Rick are so organized and so structured and have the ability to fly around and help people. Rick will be an addition to them, but he won't be the baddest of the bad. I could easily see Rick being a part of something, but not being all of something. Especially if you want to make this into a movie series that is about other things than just Rick Grimes. Dustin Little, is Rick really going to forget about his family and stay wherever he is, though? I mean, Rick is a family guy and loyal. I just don't understand how it's going to work and make sense to us viewers. And Dustin, that's a great point. So the answer to the question is, he is not going to be with his family for 7 years. Now, how we go about that? Is he tortured? Kimberly G., I'm not a fan of Rick. I'm a fan of The Walking Dead. Rick is not the reason I watch The Walking Dead, to answer your question. I like Rick. I like Daryl. I like Carol. I like Eugene. I like Abraham. I like Rosita. I like Herschel. I like the history of the show. And the show has never, even the comics, has never been about, I can't wait to see what Rick Grimes is going to do this week. And I would assume that many of you that watch Fear the Walking Dead are probably fans of the show as well. Or many of you that watched The Walking Dead this past season, in the second half, are probably fans of The Walking Dead as well. But I don't have to live and die on Rick Grimes' every word. Charm says, I believe the movie would begin with Rick having amnesia, not knowing who he is and flashes of the past. So, Charmed, I've heard that, and I am not opposed to that. And the people that are opposed to that, and I've seen many people kind of speak out and say, oh, that's silly. That's been done over and over again. Rick's not going to have amnesia. It doesn't work out that way. Why not? It's because they don't want it to work out that way. But if that's the reason he stops looking when he was hallucinating at the end, and he's went through this big, amnesia is real. It's a real thing. And if he has flashbacks, I would fully support that and wrap myself around it. But I would bet, even in this audience, there's a lot of people who say, no, I don't want to see Rick. Rick's got to, he's got to be thinking about Carl. His family's what drives him. But then, exactly, that would explain why he's not going back looking for them, especially if he's in, like, maybe Texas. And doesn't know who he is. He's just trying to get better. He's trying to get stronger. And see, I think that's it. Viola hit. I hope they don't do that. But Viola, my question is, why do you hope they don't do that? What's the harm in them doing that? What's the harm in them doing it and doing it well and surprising us and making the plot work in that regard? Because if they did it the right way, it could absolutely... So Melissa says it's too easy. Well, but it does need to make sense, right? I mean, Melissa, what's a hard way of doing this story that's going to make it make sense, that when you know that Rick is 7 years removed from finding anybody and he hasn't been out there looking, so what would be the alternative? If Rick doesn't have amnesia, what do you guys want to see? That Rick has been tied up and beaten and tortured for 7 years? I mean, what kind of movie is that going to be? Hey, what are you guys watching tonight? Watching the Walking Dead movie. Oh, cool. What's happened? Well, Rick's tied up. Well, wasn't he tied up last year? Yep. What did they do? Well, they're poking him this time. Well, they're poking him. Yeah. The other torture didn't work. So okay. Well, I'll tune in next week because can't wait to see him torture him for another 5 years. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that villain and torturing Rick and keeping him hostage and all that. I don't know that works. There's not a lot of screaming plots out there, I guess, that make a lot of sense. But is it also fair to say that Rick was hallucinating? I mean, you guys did see Rick having conversations with dead people, right? I'm not the only person that saw that. He saw Herschel. He saw Shane. He saw all his friends run by him on the bridge. So, okay, he's losing blood. So by infusing him with more blood, you're saying there's no permanent damage that was done? All of a sudden he got a blood infusion and he's just back to perfectly strong Rick, that there was no permanent damage or loss of memory? He's fine? Okay. You know what? I give up. Julia says he's fine. It's said. It's done. Rick's in a helicopter. 5 minutes after they gave him a helicopter, they're sitting back having margaritas, smoking cigars. He's talking about how, in 8 years he's going to come back because 7 years doesn't quite work out. I should have known. Or is it possible they're panicking? It's like, we're going to lose this guy. Okay, we can save him, but not going to be 100%. It's going to be a lot of recovery. Going to be a lot of things he might not remember. Is it possible that the people that took him lie to him every day to keep him from having any trauma or any shock or worrying about all the people he lost, that they have to create a new picture for him and say, where's my family? They didn't make it, Rick. What am I doing here? We were only able to pull you out. Everybody else is gone. To kind of just give him that ending. It's possible, right? I mean, wouldn't that be a kind of a nice plot transition? Because I can't think of another scenario where Rick Grimes doesn't fight tooth and nail and go through everybody to get to his family. And he doesn't wait 7.5 years to do it. So, if Rick is not looking for his family, I think it's because he thinks his family's all dead. Dustin Little, Rick actually died, and the helicopter scene was a hallucination right before he passed. So then we get like 3 movies of nothing that really happened. And then he wakes up in the coma in the first place. The coma theory. I'm gonna have to jump around and get a couple of extra thoughts in here because, yeah. It was a bold prediction. Very bold. I'll give you that. So, at this point, I think the writers are extremely handcuffed in what they can do. And one thing does lead to another. I don't know that we can say this group is necessarily bad. We don't know that yet. They have taken some people, but we don't know what the condition Heath was in when they took him. We just know Heath is gone. They might have helped Heath. We make the assumption they're bad, but they're saving him. So why go through all the trouble to fly the helicopter there, pick up some person that's bleeding to death, and then rescue them to save their life? If there's not some value in it, so I would have to go more along the lines of he's been brainwashed. He's lost a lot of blood. He was hallucinating. They probably lie to him to keep what ounce of sanity he has because, they know he's going to want to rip the bandages off and just go marching out in the middle of nowhere and die trying to get back to his family. So I think how far they took him, I think they're going to basically say, you don't have any family. This is it. I mean, that's the only feasible conclusion we can come up with. You give me like they've been torturing him for 7 years, I'm going to lose my mind. There ain't no way. There's no way they've held him hostage for 7 years. Wait, and then as a follow-up, because you can't have both. Because in this stream, we have had people saying he's been taken captive and he's been held hostage for 7 years, but then half the audience is saying, no, he's going to be the leader. You cannot be any more extreme than those two predictions. So, Dustin, that's a great point. I mean, we know, Dustin Little says nobody else saw or heard the helicopter. Negan saw the helicopter. Father Gabriel saw the helicopter. But nobody else saw it at the time it picked up Rick. And I don't know how far downstream he could have been washed. You wouldn't think he would have been washed that far downstream that the group didn't see a helicopter. But, yeah. I mean, we certainly can argue over that element. But they just assume that we're going to accept it. Ellis, I mean, you can say we don't know that yet, but it has been 7 years. I would have, sometime before 7 years, somebody would have said, hey, I know you guys have been looking for Rick every single day, but it was odd, and I don't know why I didn't mention this 7 years ago, but it was odd on the, 10 minutes after the explosion that there was a helicopter that landed, maybe 100 yards down where Rick's body would have been. I don't know why I didn't bring it up, and sorry, Michonne, you've been out there every single day for 7 years. I don't know, Ellis, if there's people withholding that information. And I certainly think some of the thoughts and some of the predictions are good, and I made a few in this stream myself. But we're going to need, in the next stream we get together with the movie, we're going to need to add some validation. Here's going to be one of the ground rules. If you're going to jump out and say, well, this is going to happen, just give me a little bit of validity. Give me a little bit of substance. Give me a little bit of something I can attach it to. And I'm all for theories. I'm all for predictions. Many of you have probably typed some good ones in here that are going to be true or partially true. But put some strength in your theory. Back it up with a little bit. So Ecom says, how do we know the movie starts 7 years after Time Drop? No, that's not what I'm saying, Ecom. What I'm saying is, if people saw the helicopter, they're still on the TV show. And the TV show is currently 7 years after Rick was taken. I don't think the movie's going to start 7 years. In fact, I think the movie's going to start at the time Rick was lifted on the helicopter. And to the point, a couple people said this a little bit earlier, I think it might be one of those things where we see Rick on the helicopter, and then maybe we get 1 year later. And we got to get a little bit of that clarity of what happened over the last year. But I don't know that we're going to see all the good, the bad. They're probably just going to have to, get him to a point. But also, like we talked about earlier, I don't think they can skip too much time. Because we're really going to want to know why Rick didn't go back and search for everybody. The Walking Dead is a social experiment. Hey, you know what? I had a lot of fun with this tonight. It's been a while since we had one of these fired up, supercharged debates. You guys are great. A lot of good comments. I know I didn't get to everybody's comment. I tried to jump around as much as we could. Some good thoughts, some good passion in tonight's stream. If you get a chance, watch the playback. And there's literally 4,000 plus comments that have been typed in tonight's stream. So if you get a chance, just kind of zoom in. If you're watching playback, watch it real time and look at some of the good interaction. If you guys follow along with who I'm calling on, you'll know. You'll know which people I kind of singled in because there were some good thoughts, some good theories. And then there was some extreme stuff as well. Tomorrow night, we're going to do our bold predictions. So if you guys like some of the bold predictions from the Walking Dead movie tonight, we will be here tomorrow night at 9:30 and do our bold prediction for Fear the Walking Dead. There will be people, believe it or not, that only tune in for about 5 minutes of the stream, and then they'll type in chat, "Can't believe, Kills, you hate Rick, you hate Maggie, you hate everybody. You say you're a Walking Dead fan, but you hate everybody." Whatever. I love The Walking Dead. Thanks, everybody. Do me a favor. Appreciate the passion. Appreciate the debate. Want to give a shout out to all the patrons in the top left-hand corner. Patreons are incredible. They rock this channel. They rock the 999 Army. You guys are amazing. Also, my green team up there, you guys can see them in the top right-hand corner. 6-month channel members. We've had a few that have been here for a long time, and that list is growing. The moderators, Emmy, Steph, Tommy, Kels, thank you so much for what you guys do every single night. The super chatters were out in full effect. Some of the super chatters trying to push my buttons a little bit. You guys can't break me. I'm the composure. The composure is there. And one thing I haven't done in the last couple streams. All right, before we get to that, everybody here, you guys, every single person needs to hit that thumbs up button before you walk out of here. You just got to do it. It's not a hard thing to do. Just boom, thumbs up. And then everybody else is here. Do me a favor. Give me a whole lot of 999s because I got to give a lot of shout outs to each and every one of you that have been here for almost an hour. Really? Have we been streaming for almost an hour and a half? That is nuts. What a complete loss of time. So let's start this thing out. Let's go a couple more minutes here. Dustin Little, thank you. Logan, thank you. Roxanne Dunlap. Najee Watts, thank you. Rob Morris, I see you. Catface Killer. Rams, thank you. Lynn Nesvik. The Marvelous One, thank you. Dark Prince as well. Princess Pie, June Smith, Gilmo9, Tammy Hill, Heart of Nixie, Viola McGowan. Kimberly G. Also saw Kimberly M. Gina Crockett, thank you. D-Train, good to see you. I think I saw Ocean Man up there a little bit ago. Coco Rose, thank you. Azola Chafin, thank you. Maria Favada. Colleen Hayes, Wide-Eyed Bry. Marky Mark. Samantha Coombs, thank you, Samantha. Marcia Derbyshire, good to see you. Christine and Shane Meek, thank you for being here. The Cat Nat, Rebecca Mendez, always a pleasure, Rebecca. Jennifer Flaherty, thank you. Grimes on the radio. Julia Muse. June Smith. Marcia Cooper, thank you for being here. Charmed Original, thank you. Great theory. I'm down. I'm down with the amnesia. Not popular with a lot of people, but if they do it well, I'd be cool with it. Angel Calores, thank you. Daryl Stoltz. Crystal Singer Chick, thank you, Crystal. Sing us out. Where's Chris Reinig at? You know, if Chris requested a song, I would do it. Ella Smith Jr., thank you. Lisa Marie West, thank you. Appreciate it. You guys make it a great stream. A lot of good, passionate thoughts. Have a good night, Robin Vance. Thank you. Leanne Gash, thank you. Have a good night. Chris like, hell no. Crack me up, man. I mean, you know, people question my my like and my respect for Rick Grimes. I mean, I guess instead of Old Mickey, I could kind of sing you guys out with, oh, Ricky, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey, Ricky, there you go. All right, I'll sing you out with that. So just people, you don't think that I hate Rick, all right? But, you know, he's been a little less than amazing lately. I'm sure they'll ramp it up. Natalie, thank you. Have a good night. All right. I think I got most of the shout-outs. Almost an hour and a half. I'll see you guys all tomorrow night. Walking Dead Nerd, thank you. I might have missed a couple. If I missed you, I'll try to catch you guys tomorrow night at 9:30. Tune in for Fear. We're going to talk a little bit about Skidmark and his role, or it could be her role, on this week's show. Talk to you tomorrow night. Peace.